Real life.
Yeah. Now, hi everyone. So I'm hoping everybody is finding their way onto this webinar. I don't know, definitely for the people in Sydney. Oh my God, was that a crazy storm or what? I just got trapped
Yeah.
in a yoga studio and was actually thinking, talking about surrendering to the flow and, whatever I was being offered in that moment, because I thought, I don't actually know if I'm going to be home and online in time to get this webinar happening. I was messaging Alexa saying, okay, you might have to run without me because I'm like literally stuck in torrential rain and lightning and Mother Nature at its finest, but I'm here now and
You
very,
made
very
it.
here. So what Alexa and I wanted to come and share today was, our own kind of experience of this dance of, it's like a cosmic dance of, trying to be in the flow. And, Alexa and I actually, we met each other, I think we met each other around our involvement in the last Wanderlust, and
Hmm.
she's a beautiful goddess. I'm going to give you an intro, Alexa. Um, we've kind of been friends for a long time online and in the
Mm.
flesh. And I've always been particularly inspired by Alexa's really strong connection with obviously her surfing, because she's an incredible surfer, but really this embodiment of this feeling of flow that comes through in all of her yoga teaching, in her writing, really in the essence of who she is. And I don't know about you, but I could really use a bit
Oh,
in my life.
thank you.
I'm
Thank you
inspired by
very
you,
much.
so welcome, Alexa. So we, I might actually throw to Alexa now because I know this idea of flow is so core to what
Mm.
you do and what you teach about. So tell me a little bit about what it means to you.
Being in the flow. Being in the flow was actually an awakening, and I think you were with me when I gave the talk. I tell the story very often. Is that I was kind of out of control and or thought I'm out of control. I choose to be out of control and look at the things in my life that were outside happening, outside of me, and thought that's my life. And I had an awakening moment, or actually particularly three. One through the loss of my father, and then through surfing, and then through yoga. And since then, I began to see that it's my choice I make to, if I'm in the flow or if I'm not in the flow, if I let other things or other people control my life or not. And both yoga and surfing have taught me, or still are teaching me, because I'm not always in the flow, but they're teaching me, and they remind me to 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 center in, to let the universe do what it needs to do, and to align with it, and rather than resisting it, and rather than pushing and pulling it, rather than saying, I want this, or I need this now, and or this is not going my way. These moments when I feel this resistance is then my practice to stop, to breathe, and breathing is a really good tip to get to there, and to ask a different way of question of, like, how can I align with the moment better? How can I go with the situation? How can I handle it easier? And what is the teaching in it when something happens like this? I mean, you just arrived and you just made it, but the teaching for you now was probably to stay calm and relaxed and focused and not, freak out. And everything that happens in our life is a gift. It's our lessons. Like we're sitting here, everything around us is our reality. It's everything that's our life, that's us, that's our thinking. So yeah, that's all kind of like what I'm I think that's what I'll try to teach as well, and what I understand.
That I can like picture. I mean, and I'll have to say to everybody, anybody who knows me well, will know that in my mind, maybe I should be a good surfer, but
Yes.
I kind of practice. So I go out, I get rolled around in the whitewash. I normally hit myself in the face with the surfboard, and then I get pissed off because I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
I had this real vision of you, like I was kind of, as you were just speaking then, I had this vision of like a wave, and like you were saying, you're out there's this massive wave coming, and like if you're like, oh, it's like if you start to freak out and resist it. I mean, the power and the energy of this water. I mean, it's definitely helped you with your surfing, right?
Yeah, definitely. And breathing and meditation helps a lot. I think yoga and surfing are so closely related. I even wrote a book for my German university about a book, like a part of a book, an essay for a book, talking about the similarities and the fusion of yoga and surfing, because it's in essence the same. As you surf on your yoga mat, pretty much. You try to, be centered, get into the moment with what you've got and what the universal energy is throwing at you at that moment. And instead of letting your mind moving you let actually what happens around you, you align with that. It's like, you go with the wave instead of fighting against it. And then you start to play, and then you start to open up. And that is with everything, I think, a good metaphor for everything in life.
It's like a co-create. I mean, this is my experience. It's such a co-creative experience. You have universal energy. And I know in my own life, I mean, I kind of have this thing where I say I'm fiercely creative, and even the use of the word fierce kind of, indicates that maybe I'm fighting against the flow because I want it to be faster or whatever,
Yeah.
That's because I know, and that is, that is what I kind of take away every day and sit and breathe with. And it's interesting, like at the beginning, well, not at the beginning, but I was working, I don't know, about 8 years ago or something, with an incredible spiritual teacher, and in all of my meditations, and even I remember like when we used to do kind of group sharing sessions, like all I could say to people was, everything was kind of moving so rapidly for me then. All I could say was that I feel like I'm in a fast-moving river, and I have no idea where the river is going. And, from time to time I like hit a rock and like, elbow or whatever, or get snagged on something and something's not comfortable, but then I'm back in the river, and all I could feel was, and still feel, is that it's super exciting. And it's funny because, that was before, I guess it was before we were all, posting beautiful things on Facebook. I think back then I was probably just stalking boys. But anyway. Yeah. That's the truth.
Nice.
That was before my beautiful fiance. But anyway.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, that was before, you saw like, everybody was, well, certainly in my world, everybody was talking about, be in the flow. You've got to get in the flow. You've got to ride these waves of the universe. And I always think back to this connection with this imagery of river, because I was like, this is how it feels. And I don't know why this is how it feels. And now every day I think that's exactly what it is.
Yes. But how did you get there? That's the question, because I know many people, like I know my sister, for example, she's like, come on, you're so, you're kind of withdrawn. If I start philosophizing about this, if I just live around her and be with her, and it's my twin sister, I must say, like if I just be with her, and she is so often, and she is so often in the flow, she doesn't know, but if we don't conceptualize it, and if we just be it as as teachers or whatever, I think this is when the magic happens. But it's hard to explain. It's not hard to explain. You can actually just remember how it feels like when you're in a feeling of flow, because in essence, in reality, you're not floating in the river, you are the river.
Yeah.
You know, you are the stone, you are it, you know, and you are not saying, you know, like a wave. There's a really beautiful writing from Thich Nhat Hanh. He's saying, you know, the wave is the ocean, and the wave is not flowing around in the ocean saying, I'm too small, I'm too big, I'm too stressed out, I can't handle this, Christmas is coming, or, you know, like I can't roar. So the wave is coming and going, and it's like an effect of life, as we have as well. We are coming and going. We are in the flow of living and death. And as we flow in that flow, maybe we should just maybe not find another word, but as we in this continuum, then we, you know, and we accept it, then we drop the anxiety of not having, because it's essentially every anxiety of and stress and all decisions we make when we have now talking about Christmas, not enough presents, not going to every party, maybe drinking too much, smoking too much if someone smokes, I don't know, eating too much, you know, like all that. If you, oh, I lost the point now. Like if you
do you know, I'm going to stop you for 1 second because I feel like this is going to
really
wrap up your point. You said the word acceptance just before, and you know, when you asked me how did you get in the river, or how did I realize that I am the river, it's by this complete feeling of like, and like you're saying about Christmas, it's like you have to just go, you know what, it's like, you know, I made a painting. Well, I didn't ever finish it, but it was when I was kind of going through my big transition of leaving the corporate world and following my heart. And, you know, and I had this, you know, I made this, it's out in my lounge room. But, you know, she took a leap and built her wings on the way down. And, you know, and that's kind of like all of us kind of throwing ourselves into the river, off the cliff, into the wave, just going, okay, this kind of feels scary. I'm just going to block my nose and go, whoa, I don't know what happened, but I'm totally letting go and trusting that something bigger than myself is going to catch me. Yeah. Because that's the thing.
That's the thing. That's the thing. We just let go of what's going to happen. We just relax into it. We just relax.
I was listening to this beautiful channeled message the other day, and it's kind of, it's been, you know, I just, a few of you have probably read the recent little blog post that I wrote about being up in Byron on the weekend, and, you know, and when I talk about this flow being like this cosmic dance of, you know, well, in my case, fierce creativity and trying to make stuff happen. And then, you know, having those moments of actually like, oh no, I'm actually going to surrender. And, you know, I'm not perfect. I'm learning. I'm learning in every moment. Like every single moment is a gift that teaches me so much about myself. Sometimes I'm like, God, so much learning. But, you know, being up in Byron, and, you know, there are a lot of people who, you know, maybe back in the day I would have thought to myself, oh my God, they're just like too lazy. They're not like, you know, doing lots of stuff, but, you know, they're able to be completely present. You know, maybe they don't have so much money, but they're like, you know what, I go and connect with people. I wake up in the morning, I think, oh my God, there's amazing surf. I'm going to go for a surf. On my way home, I drop into my mate's house and we have a cup of tea and some toast. That's awesome. And then I maybe go and do some work, or do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, it's this feeling of letting go of. Okay, yeah. So that was my point. This.
Oh,
you know, we have as a society, Christmas time of year. There's always this pressure and this kind of self-imposed pressure to do more, to get everything done, to get all your work done before you go away on Christmas holiday. Like, I mean, I feel under the pump myself right now. And, you know, and I was like, yeah, but
only because you're telling yourself you are under the pump now.
I know.
It's what you're telling yourself. I'm busy. Yeah, you're busy.
Yeah.
And, you know, okay, keep on going. Sorry. I
No,
just want to heal you. I just want to say, like, don't.
and this is why Alexa and I, this is why we have each other, so we can
Yeah.
remind each other
Yeah.
about.
And you're like, Alexa, we've got to do. Okay, I'm on it.
But yeah, it's like I really feel, and this is what's been coming through in a lot of my meditations and a lot of the messages that I receive. You know, like I've always put a lot of pressure on myself to do more, to be more, to achieve more. You know, it's never enough. Like there's always, you know, and there's a certain drive that goes along with it, and a certain satisfaction that obviously comes with creating a lot of things, and that motivates me. But I've kind of realized, and you know, like as we're realizing, as we're kind of shifting into this more feminine energy that we're in on this planet, like we're not, you know, I feel like, you know, the last like 40 years or something, like our parents' era as well, like it was all like work, make the money, and you know, and that was great. That was the energetic period that we were in on that. And that was what was meant to happen, as everything, every moment is happening perfectly. But, you know, I feel like we can kind of, you know, take our foot off the gas a little bit, you know, and actually just go, you know what, I'm just, you know, as we talk about just surrendering to the wave, surrendering to the flow, you know, maybe go, okay, what would happen if I didn't do all that stuff? What would happen if I just allowed myself to rest? What would happen if I put myself first and allowed all of the stuff that I've brought into my vortex? Because, okay, so a vortex is like our energy field, and, you know, we're bringing in all of this incredible stuff and all of the gifts that we're realizing and these lessons that we're learning in every moment. Sometimes when we're moving so fast with it all and, you know, pushing ourselves forward, we're not really integrating.
No.
And, yeah. Do you agree?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it's funny, Alexa and we had a little chat earlier about this, and we're both, you know, some of you who are on this call or who will listen to this webinar will have been to B School, and we're kind of involved in Facebook pages, and it's like there are so many people out there just doing so much stuff, and the, you know, the pitta in me, the, you know, fiercely creative, I'm like, so much fire, and I'm like, oh God, I need to do more. Look at all these people doing all this stuff, and then you go, why?
And that's when then the you know, the practice of yoga is like a blessing, you know, the coming and meditation, and that might, for some of you guys, it's like for some people, I mean, everybody who's on the call now is in some way connected to yoga, more or less. And yoga is nothing else than living, and that doesn't have to be a fancy pose. It's just taking a retreat every day, taking the time, retreating yourself to breathe into your body, to get into your life space, and then, you know, getting with your light and lighting up others, getting out into the world. And you can do that even in the craziest moments. And I always, like, for example, I know surfers, for example, my husband is one of those. When the surf is getting really busy, people get really pushy, that, you know, they surf around, it's nothing dangerous or something. But if, you know, when there are many people wanting to surf one wave, and they're kind of like paddling around, it's all playful, paddling around, and then one is taking the wave and is coming back and taking again, and there's a little bit of hassling going on. You know what he does? And that's for me always the best teaching, because I tend to, like you know, getting fiery and passionate about things and then diving head first, which is good in a way because you make things happen, but sometimes you forget yourself in that. What he does is all of a sudden he sits when it's getting really busy. I see him sitting, just leaning on his board with a chin and just bobbing up and down and watching the craziness, just watching. And that reminds me to, that's surfing. That is surfing. That is yoga. Step back. You don't have to run with everybody. We don't have to believe the story we're telling us. Like even us setting up a webinar saying, don't get crazy. We're assuming everything has to be crazy during the Christmas time. Why? It doesn't. It can be the calmest, most peaceful time on earth. Let everyone else run. For us, it's the opening, the time for love, taking time, remembering the people in Europe for me, or, you know, like around me, doing little gifts. Why do we believe stories, you know, that other people tell us? We don't. We can remember our own story. And a yoga teacher, a teacher of mine, sat next to me once and said to me, you know, you have to, with the yoga journey as a yoga teacher, or the spiritual journey in general, you have to walk that yourself. You have to do it yourself. You can't make any other people responsible for you. You can't, you know, ask other people. There's some part of it you have to do alone. And it's true for life. It's true for surfing. It's true for yoga. You have to do it yourself. You have the. That is when the magic in the yoga practice happens. Is when you come to a stage where you're confident and comfortable to be on the mat on your own, without people telling you what to do. Where you move on your own. Of course, you want to have the basic skills to know what to do, but then you have to paddle out yourself in the surf, and you can't always look to your teacher and saying, you have to show me how to surf a wave, you know? Like, you're not there, you're not helping me. You've got to do it yourself. Yeah.
Push me into the wave in my case. Well,
yeah, no, it's not hard. It's what you're telling yourself. I always see the picture of surfing like the kids I saw in Hawaii when I first learned surfing. They were playing in the shore break, in a massive shore break, where I would be pretty scared to stay in. And they just let them make themselves to little balls and get dumped. And they enjoyed it. It's not that they were fighting against the world, the wave. They were just going with it and enjoyed the ride. And I think that's the way to go.
Because, you know, life will do that to us. You know, like, you know, there's always, even, you know, I always call them kind of like WTF, universe moments. You know, sometimes, you know, when you're really feeling like, I'm in the flow, everything's, you know, I'm in this allowing thing, opportunities, things are just coming at me. I'm just sitting back and receiving. And then I've had a few instances when all of a sudden everything will get derailed again. You're like, whoa, where did that come from? And, you know, and it's this ability to still remain, you know, like I love that. I've got such a little image of those little boys, like in that moment where you're like, oh, okay, let me make myself, you know, flexible. And, you know, it just reminded me of back when I used to dance, you know, like you learn how to fall, you learn how to roll, you learn just kind of how to roll with the, you know, you're like, whoa, I'm coming out of here, and you roll with it, and you find the grace, find the Shri, as they call it in say in the Bhagavad Gita, ability to move through life with ease and grace, without without kind of needing to attack it all, and you know, it's a lot easier when you learn how to fall gracefully and just allow yourself to be rolled around.
And you know what you have to do to be able to do that? You have to fall a lot. You know, you have to make it you have to go and, you know, go to their places where you will fall. Otherwise, you'd never know. You know, you never learn.
Exactly. But, you know, it's interesting. It's the same. You know, I've had a lot of stuff come up for me about money lately too, and you know, money's always a hot topic, and you know, everybody wants to know how to be more in the flow with money and remove their blocks, and you know, and I feel like some of this stuff is so ingrained within us. Like Alexa just pulled me up on, you know, I'm a classic for saying, oh, I'm so busy, I'm so crazy, and you know, continuing to, you know, pull this crazy busyness into my field. And this is the thing, it's like we've got to remember that, you know, this is how manifestation, and this is how, I guess, the universal field or it's almost like it's super intelligent, but it's not that, it's really simplistic. Like it's like if you go, hey, I'm super busy and crazy, it's going to go, okay, super busy, crazy, da, 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 da. Or, you know, even if really, like I'm thinking to myself, I don't want to be super busy and crazy, but that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm going to back. If you just think of it like a mirror, and
Yeah.
and that's the thing, like with money and stuff, when well, I guess there's the mirror kind of idea. Like if it's also, and it's the same with relationships. This always comes up as the same sort of thing. If even if externally you're saying, yes, I call in abundance, I feel all of my, money flowing to my money tree and I'm collecting it and da-da-da. If there is any kind of little voice that comes up at the same time that maybe says, oh no, but I'm not quite good enough to earn money, or I'm not quite, I don't think, maybe I'm not, maybe, say if you're launching something in your own business or something, maybe you're like, oh yeah, but why would somebody want to buy that from me? If you think, if there are two messages happening at the same time, even if it's like your inner voice, the universe, remember it's the universe, so it hears both. And often it's like, well, I don't really know what she wants abundance, but she doesn't believe in herself. Okay, well, we're just going to not do anything then, until she's sorted out that self-belief. And it's the same with relationships. Often, everybody's like, but where is my twin flame? I'm ready for that. And, I promise you that we have, I truly believe this because I've lived it. And, I wanted it. I yearned for Joe for so long. I knew he was coming. I felt it. I had it in my meditations. But I was
goosebumps.
But it was, it was my message that was coming through for all that time, was to be patient. And as a fiery person, I was like, I don't want to be patient. But it, but there's also like for me it was being patient, because I don't feel like I'd removed a lot of my blocks along my journey. But, often, it's the same thing with the money. It's like, you could be making your vision board, sticking pictures of your ideal man or your ideal job or whatever. If you have something that's still within you saying, I don't know, maybe you're not quite ready for a relationship. Do you know what I mean? Like it's this is the cosmic dance. Again, this is the flow. This is like energy. And if you're like, okay, this is what I'm asking for.
So what do you do when you're, for example, asking yourself, I'm ready to receive a lot of money, and you feel a little bit resistance, or I'm ready to invest in something bigger, like a house or like in a holiday, like it's, and and something comes up and says, no, I'm not deserving this, or it's not coming to me, or I can't do this. What do you do?
Do you know what I find? Like I think a lot of people, and for me myself, I often kind of think to myself, why is what I'm doing not working? And it's this process of self-observation of, like initially, like step one, I guess, is, observing yourself in every moment and actually identifying that you are blocking yourself. Because a lot of the time you're thinking, I'm not blocking myself. I want this. I believe in myself. I've written, I've got a vision board. I've got all this stuff, but, it's still this blocking situation.
Outside.
How to remove that? It's a whole nother webinar. But I mean, for me, it's something that I have to sit with and kind of feel into myself. And even like, this is how I do it. There's so many different ways to work with yourself. I'm a medic person. I like to feel these things in my body, like when I say have a feeling of not being powerful or not being magical enough, which actually, you know what, that doesn't happen very often anymore, which is really cool. In that moment I was thinking, I do feel,
that's practice,
definitely,
isn't it?
But I used to kind of try and feel it in my body. And for me, like, I'd close my eyes and I'd think, okay, these feelings of maybe not being worthy, and I'd ask myself, like, where do I feel this in my body? And, and then I would just really, this is totally getting out of the head. And for me, like, I would often feel it as like a real tightness in my chest. And I was like, okay, I can really feel like there's something there. Like, I feel like there's something like, heavy. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. And then as I feel into it, you know, sometimes I'll ask more questions about it, and it will actually give me another message about maybe what it is directly relating to. And then I will ask myself, because I'm forever asking my body what it wants to do. Like, how do you need to release this pain? What do you need? What do you need to be fed today? How do you need to feel nourished? You know, it's an ongoing dialogue with myself. People probably think, but you know, and maybe it's a process of making sound to let it go. For me, I like to, okay, I'm sitting on the bed, but I like to, you know, plant my feet on the earth, and I like to shake. I like to shake as like a crazy person, you know, make sound and try and release this stuff, because, you know, remember all of this like emotional conditioning, and this might not be somebody else who's conditioned you. This is just stuff that you've told yourself for whatever reason. Maybe you got a feeling of it when you were little, or maybe it was in a previous life. Who knows? Do you know what I mean? We carry some of this stuff with us, and even though you're like on a, you know, maybe on a mental level, or, you know, think you're like, no, I'm totally worth it. I'm totally abundant. But then there's something that maybe hanging out in your left kidney that is telling you that you're not. And I know that might be weird, but I feel like it's true. Do you agree?
Yeah.
This Absolutely. Is like working with asana as well, like with working with you know, our physical yoga practice. This is also, you know, a great way to kind of feel into these blockages in our body, and really, you know, I mean, that's the whole process of kind of the physical aspect of yoga, is allowing our energy to flow freely. Note the word flow again. You know, this is, you know, this is how it was designed to go. But if you think, like, I wonder if a machine exists like this, like an energetic X-ray machine. I'd love to see where all of I've got blocks. Like, there's definitely there's something, this big blockage there, you know, like, how do you move it on?
Yes. Process. Breathing and constantly working with it. That's so true. Yeah, very true. Oh, I moved my camera. Oh, it's amazing to listen to you, because it's because we're coming back to you know, what we said from the beginning on. It's a constant work. It never ends. Like it's like a discovery work or awakening work, or, you know, it's in a constant exploration.
Totally. You know, even, you know, when you read, like, in all of the kind of Hindu mythology, you know, all of those sages who generally, in all of the stories, they would meditate on mountains for no less than about 3,000 years. And, you know, and still they would still go back to doing their work and learn more. And then even it's interesting. It's like, you know, even when, like, it's the same as a yoga pose. It's like, even when you think, yes, I've nailed this perfect handstand, and I can't get even more perfect than I already am in this handstand, but no, there's always more to learn in it.
And that's with surfing exactly the same. It never stops. You know, you know, you have always something to learn. Even if you roll on a wave, you know, and you think, you know, like, you never stop learning. That's why it's so addictive. Like, it's really, it makes you feel like you're always growing in whichever direction. You feel like you get pushed back. You can't go through the surf. It's the same with body work or yoga or meditation. You've got good days, bad days, and good surf, bad surf, and you learn just to become steady and accept what is.
And that's the thing. And it, you know, life for me, you know, as this journey of exploration and self-discovery is so inspiring. I had no idea that I was going to be, like, I always felt in my heart that I was going to be doing something, and I actually, going back to Byron has just brought a lot of this stuff up for me, because I remember about 4 years ago, and I was there for a New Year's Eve with some friends, and I remember wanting to leave my corporate job. And, you know, and I was like, I was away with a whole lot of people who have their own businesses, and they were very creative, and they had their own fashion labels. And I was like, I want to do something of my own, but in that moment I wasn't sure what it was, and I thought about doing my yoga teacher training, but I remember, like, for whatever reason, it hadn't been the right time, and that trip in Byron, I was walking in this, like, rainforest, and it was incredible. It was so beautiful with my friend Kat, who's a bit of a kind of older sister and mentor for me.
Mm-hmm.
And she was the one, she said, why don't you go and do your teacher training? And I did, and it's so funny because, like, this little call that I had in my heart to go out and create something, now I know this is like what is happening in my world every day is like beyond my wildest dreams and only getting better. And I realized that, as I'm working with this universal energy, and really, and I know, like, my real lesson, and I guess all of our lessons, is just to be totally trusting and able to let go of control enough to allow it to take me into a full state of blossoming. Because while I'm still like, I need to do more, it's like I keep these red flags that go, just stop, just allow it to happen, and then you'll see the magic.
Yeah,
but I'm trying to make
you think it's and it's not that you become passive. It's like you're just stepping back into you to align yourself to float with it, with the energy. It's not that you completely stop doing anything. It's just like we get out of the moment so quick, our minds, and that's what the ego does. It gets distracted. And that's why meditation, mindfulness is an amazing tool to always go back, always come back.
And that's the thing with things like relationships, with things like money. When you are really able to operate from that space, you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. Everything will roll as it needs to roll. Like, it's when you're coming from this space of freaking out that little bit, like trying to, okay, shit, I need to work harder. Like, that's when, like, for me, I know full well, and and I'm learning, having to remind myself. That's why even doing webinars like this is the best, because I'm like,
okay, yes, absolutely. And what you were saying in relationships, and I think that becomes in Christmas, and at the Christmas time, like really, really important, because everybody tries to fit into this Disneyland or Disney movie picture. Everybody's happy or everything goes wrong and it's really crazy. So if we forget about the status quo of how it has to be, then we get less tense, because otherwise you have 5 really tense people trying to make the most out of it. And what happens with this tense energy, it collides. So, and then, then that's gone. But if we enter into Christmas or New Year's Eve or whatever without much expectations, and just sit back and walk as we would lay back in the sun chair, through the world, then it possibly is a much richer experience, because we're more there. We don't control how the food is going to be like. We don't control the gifts and everything. I think that's the most important thing.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're all kind of, a lot of us coming back with family, and I know family can often bring up a lot of people's stuff. So sometimes the Christmas, as we were saying, like, you kind of go into it with this preordained idea. You're like, oh, kind of, it's excitement, but sometimes you're like, oh God, it's kind of, it's intense.
It's not intense, like, that's what we should, like, and I'm just picking on you now. I'm doing the same. I'm like, this is intense, but it's not intense. It's how we label it. It can be rich, it can be really rich and awesome. We just have to remember that everybody else is us, really. I think I lost you. You're a bit frozen. I hope I didn't lose you, because I can see myself talking, but I think that's Oh, I think I lost you. You still there? So I hope everything goes all right, and SJ is talking. I'll just check my connection. Am I wireless? I'm just going to give a message. Oh.
Alexa, are you here? Sorry, my internet. So I'm not really sure whether this is still a recording as part of the same piece, but hopefully it is. I'm just going to see if we can get Alexa back. Jump back on. But we probably will come a little close to wrapping this up anyway. But what I did want to say, just while we're waiting for Alexa to try and get back on, is so a lot of what we've talked about, these, yeah.
I'm back.
I don't know what happened. Everything just froze and went crazy. But anyway,
yeah, it's crazy weather out there. Yes.
It's crazy weather out there. But I was going to say, we probably, I think we missed a little bit about what you were saying.
Okay.
Just then. Did you want to finish it off, or
I can't remember where I lost you.
I don't know either.
That's okay. That's okay. We just let go. We've got it all anyway.
Well, what I was going to say was, you know, in line with everything that we've been talking about, Alexa and I are running a really, really beautiful retreat in Sri Lanka that we are so excited about. Although we are big advocates of staying present, I must admit, I'm like, ooh, wouldn't it nice to be at Talala retreat right now? Oh my God, you have to Google it. Talala retreat. It is the most divine place on earth. It's just at the bottom of Sri Lanka, amazing beaches, amazing surf, the most beautiful eco retreat with a wonderful yogashala. Yeah, we're very, very excited to be working together on that one.
Oh, I'm so excited now, especially because it's like I get to know you even more now with this conversation now, and I'm so in awe of your work and your journey and how you are so open-hearted share your journey. I think this authenticity is magic and very, very valuable. It's really amazing. I get goosebumps too.
I feel the same way with you. I was like, oh, I love you.
Sorry, guys, you have to look away from
We're just having our own little life. It's going to be a magical retreat. What I was going to say is we have our special early bird prices for the retreat that are still available until the 31st of December, and it makes the retreat very affordable. So all of the details are at surfyogabliss.com, or you can find the details from either of our websites. In fact, I'll send you guys a follow-up email with all of this. I haven't told you this, Alexa, but because you are our wonderful webinar viewers, just this is going to be like a 48-hour deal. If you did want to come along, we're going to give you an extra $100 off, but only for 48 hours. So I'm going to send this out in an email so it's all clear to everybody who has registered for this webinar, because I know a lot of people wanted to be a part of it but just simply couldn't make the time. So it's just a little special treat, because I know sometimes, you know, particularly for a lot of people who, you know, follow Alexa and I, you know, they are self-employed, and I know sometimes, you know, having enough money to do everything that you want to do can sometimes feel a little tricky. So we want to make it easy for you, because we really want you to be able to come away and actually have the time to go and journey into yourself and do surfing. And I love surfing.
And yes, you will do surfing, and you know, surfing is the best self-development tool ever, ever, ever. And Talala actually is a good spot for beginners. So I've been in touch with them to make sure that everybody is, you know, in a good place. And the teachers are there so highly skilled that even teach different levels. If I would be certified, I would teach you, because I'm so passionate about to make people, you know, being confident in the water and not getting, you know, like just feeling the joy and the play of it. So I probably will jump around in between and interrupt the instructor. I don't know. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait. Yay.
Oh my God, you'll probably see me. I may cry. I kind of sometimes do that.
Yeah, we cry together then. We have a good laugh and a cry and a shackle. It's going to be good.
But yeah, so we would love to have you with us. The spaces on the retreat are limited, and they have already started to sell. So yeah, it'd be a beautiful, beautiful Christmas present too. Speaking of Christmas, maybe if you feel like a certain family member is looking for something to get you, I would be asking for.
Yeah, and wasn't there was a payment plan as well, wasn't it? Like that people can discuss with you.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
She's doing all the admin. She's amazing. She's doing everything. You know, the fiery energy in SJ.
I kind of thought maybe I should have been a travel agent once.
You're amazing. You are amazing. Okay, I'm getting dark here. I'm getting like a little bit.
All right. Well, we love you very much, and I love you, Alexa. Thank you so much.
I love you too. Thank you, and you have a good night. All of you guys have a good night, and we see you soon. Namaste.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Bye.